Miss Peregrines is the latest movie from Tim Burton, and it's starring Eva Green as Miss Peregrine, Asa Butterfield as Jake, Samuel L. Jackson as Baron, Terence Stamp as Abe Portman, Jake's grandfather, Chris O'Dowd as Jake's dad, and Ella Purnell as Emma Bloom. It goes for roughly 127 minutes, and it had a budget of around 110 million. Overall, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really fun, it had a great tone, I love the macabre feel that Tim Burton does so well, and he's really good at bringing those sorts of tones, which is going to be very family friendly at the same time. I really enjoyed the pacing of this film. I thought he did a great job with that. A lot of these book to movie adaptations, I find they rush it a little bit. They try to put too much in. There's generally a lot in those stories, even the smaller books. And it's very difficult to try and put that all in a film without a whole lot of explanation. Whereas this, he did really well. It didn't feel rushed at all, especially going from point A to point B, which was the main character Jake going from his home in America and traveling all the way overseas to see Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Some of the other things I really enjoyed about this film was the characters. I thought the actors did really well, except for a couple. There were a few actors but I don't really think they did a very good job. One guy's acting in this film actually seemed to get worse as the movie went along, but for all I know, they might have shot some of the earlier things first, and maybe he went from being really bad to just bearable by the end of it. I really enjoyed Eva Green's portrayal of Miss Peregrine, and if you notice something really strange about her, apart from Tim Burton's weird macabre feel that he always throws into movies, she doesn't blink at all. Ever. She winks once, that I noticed, but that's about it. No blinking whatsoever, and I think it's based on the fact that she's Miss Peregrine. She turns into a bird, a peregrine, so the birds must not blink at all either. I don't know if they wink. Maybe. Do birds wink? That'd be weird. Anyway, so Miss Peregrine, she doesn't wink ever. And it's pretty cool. It actually makes her seem really strange. She's got this otherworldly feel. She seems to be all-knowing with her unblinking gaze. So I really enjoyed that. And she's such a stellar actress as well. Like, everything that I've ever seen her in, I thought was amazing. The children in this movie that were playing the peculiarities, or had the peculiarities, did well for the most part, as far as child actors and actresses generally do. You know, Asa Butterfield, he's great. He's always really good. I've seen him in a few other films as well, and he did a great job in this. He played the American sort of dorkier teenager, the one that's struggling to fit in a bit more, and that's a little bit more about the undertones of this story. Is this kid who doesn't fit in anywhere, and suddenly he finds a place that he does fit in, but it's with a whole bunch of people with the peculiarities. So he wonders, should he stay, because he doesn't feel that he's one of them either, so he doesn't really think he fits in anywhere, but he kind of does, and that's a little bit of part of the journey. I also really enjoyed the relationship between Jake and his grandfather. It was very real and warm. A lot of it was shown in flashbacks, but I thought they did a really great job, and it was a big part of pushing the story forward, was showing his relationship with his grandfather, why he would do some of the things that he did, and why he would go in search of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I've talked about pacing for the first part of the movie. I thought the final third act of the film was really weak. It's the finale, the very finale, the very end, I actually really liked. I thought it brought it home. It made up for some of the weaker parts in the action finale, if you want to call it that. But the rest, the actual, the pinnacle, the action-based finale, when everything gets resolved, I didn't really think it was that good. I thought it was kind of weak, to be honest. The other thing was, I never felt the stakes in this film. I never at any point thought that any of the heroes or any of the main characters were going to die, or that we might lose them. That was in part due to the villains. They somehow made light of it. They almost made it seem slightly darkly funny at some times as well. Not that undercut what could have been more of a tense moment. I think for me, the biggest problem I had with the villains was more of Samuel L. Jackson's portrayal as the main villain. I'm not sure if it was his take on the character, or if they tried to ham him up a little bit, make him a little bit more humorous so that it wasn't quite as scary. Because him as a villain, he it didn't feel like the stakes were there. It didn't feel like they were ever really going to lose. It sort of just felt a little bit, well, childish, I guess. And I know it's more of aimed towards family friendly and kids, but you know, there just didn't seem to be any stakes at all. So that was a little bit sad. I didn't really find myself caring too much about the characters. I did like the main few. Asa Butterfield as Jake. He was good, he's very likable, and I think that just comes down to the fact that he's just such a good actor. I didn't buy his woe is me, don't really have that many friends, and slight, you know, a little bit of a loser, that sort of thing. He's just such a charismatic presence. It's hard to make someone seem like they're a bit of a loser in the real world and that they wouldn't have a lot of friends or get along really well with people, and yet make them so likable as a character at the same time. It's a really fine line to try and walk, and I think they slightly failed in that. I know where they were going for, that he was probably a bit of a boy out of time, because, and I mean, this is not a spoiler, but you'll see from the advertising that this school for peculiar children is out of time, that they're still in World War II time. You can see the Nazi bombs dropping, so that's where they are. So all of these children, peculiar children, are very, very old as far as we're concerned, and they would have different sense of manners, a different sense of propriety of what's right and what's wrong. So I think they were trying to show that perhaps Jake is that boy out of time, that he would fit in better with them than he does in our time, but they didn't really pull it off very well. I just didn't find that. He's too likable, he's too charismatic of an actor to pull that, oh, I don't really have any friends in the real world style. Just, sorry, didn't believe it. Miss Peregrine, Eva Green, as I said, fantastic actress. Loved her as an actor. Loved her in that role. I thought she did a great job. Some of the other actors, they were fine, you know, but I just didn't feel the connection. I didn't see all of these characters as people that have been together for so long at that age. I didn't really care. Overall, I really did enjoy this film. I walked out having a lot of fun with it, especially some of the action scenes in it. They were really good. There's a scene with some skeletons coming to life and fighting on one of the sides, either good or bad. It was a really fun scene, so I enjoyed that. I thought it made up for a lot of the lack later on in some of the finale. And also the final scenes of the movie, the closing scenes of the movie, I thought were really, really good. They brought it back. They really did bring it back. And they opened it up for sequels without it being hammered over the head that there's definitely going to be a sequel. So I quite enjoyed that part as well. The fact that they made this film a standalone film. It doesn't necessarily need a sequel, but if they wanted to make sequels, they're well and truly open to do that. My one concern about this film, moving forward, it is a little forgettable. It was fun, it was enjoyable, it was well done, the acting was fine, but nothing about it was spectacular. Nothing about it was absolutely fantastic. I'm not rushing out to tell everyone to see this film, as I did with Kubo and the Two Strings. I give this movie 7 out of 10. It's a pretty generous 7, but it is still a 7 out of 10. If you did really enjoy Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, or if that's the sort of tone and themes that you really like, there's another movie I suggest going and seeing or renting or buying. It's called Cirque du Freak, The Vampire's Assistant. It's a movie from 2009, a bit of a failed franchise. I think they were trying to start a franchise with it, and it was just a one-off. But it was a lot of fun. I've only seen it the once, and I did see it when it first came out, so it's been a long time since I've watched it. But if I see this one in one of the cheap bins at any point, I'm going to buy it, because I had a lot of fun with Cirque du Freak. I actually had more fun with that than I did with Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I might change my tune if I watch it again. Perhaps I was sort of seeing it through rose-colored glasses. I'm not sure. But at the time, I really liked it. So I'd suggest going and, if you see it in the cheap bin, grab it, have a look at it, see what you think. You could call me an idiot, or you might really like it. It might become one of those little dark horse movies that you love. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, it's just a good fun time at the movies. Not a whole lot of thought process needed for this one. Just relax, sit back, watch the movie and enjoy. As long as you like that dark and macabre style with a bit of humour, that Tim Burton feel. So, as I said, 7 out of 10 for this movie. I hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe and put a comment below. Tell me what you think. Did you enjoy this movie? Are you looking forward to seeing it? Did my review help at all? Or maybe not. Who knows?